Greetings, community, and welcome to Entropy and Comics. And this is another edition of this week's signed books ish, meaning, well, past 10 days has been really busy. I just kind of taking a breath right now, and I feel like I'm collapsing. My slight lack of enthusiasm is just actually really misinterpreted. It's really more of a lack of energy. I'm a little burned out. And this is not a complaint. This is more of a tone of gratitude. I'm just saying I'm a little tired. Been working, been going to signing events, San Diego Comic Con for 3 days. It's been rather nonstop. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go through that whole gambit from beginning to end, but I might go from the end as a beginning. You know me, that's just kind of how I roll. But hey, before we get into it, I want to, acknowledge those who decided to hang out with me on the live. Meanwhile, dude, you're awesome. And you beat out Las Cruces. How you manage that is actually rather difficult because yeah, he's she's not an easy second. It's pretty cool, pretty impressive. All of those who wish to cruise on the live, I greatly appreciate you. Those who wish to decide they want to hang out with me on the rewind and check out what I decided to show to you, which I finally got together and I think I got organized. I appreciate you. Seriously, I want to acknowledge those that want to hang out with me, those who wish to decide to subscribe, those who wish to decide to go ahead and just check me out for the first time. I appreciate all of you, seriously. But as opposed to getting all mushy and continuing on with that, let's go ahead and give you a small debrief of what transpired over the past 10 days. Starting with not a few days ago, but Thursday, week and a half ago. Oh, hey Cody, how you be? I hope all is well. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I understand that. And I understand that too. So I received a notification for a buddy of mine that really wasn't happy with the fact that I wasn't going to be able to attend San Diego Comic Con. So I made mention that I've never been there before, and that in which that one of the big reasons why those who know me, I like to get my stuff signed is which that I really like the stories behind the stories. It allows me an interaction with both writers, artists, and those to be able to interact with them, get a little background history on not only those stories but them themselves, and sometimes what motivated them, or in general, sometimes what is the overall goal, not only just in story but possibly beyond that. So it really allows me a kind of a personal interaction with individuals that I really cherish and enjoy, and allows me a deeper appreciation and understanding in which that I like as a hobby, which is to read comics. So I was speaking with a buddy of mine. He made mention that he didn't like the idea that I wasn't going to be able to attend for so many years in which that I've been collecting once again at San Diego Comic Con. So I was then privy to the ability to go from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as a 3 day guest to be able to attend those days and be able to essentially hang out in Artist Alley the whole time. I felt kind of like I was loitering, and the beauty is I wasn't really ushered away by anybody as much as I was starting to be just recognized by many. And it was really awesome to be able to hang out with those in which that I know, those in which that I've been interacting with for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, only through virtual media, and many of which I haven't been able to see due to the fact that either one, they live so far in distant places, or sometimes they just don't have the ability to attend events. And San Diego Comic Con, being that it's such a large event, allows them the ability to do so with the excuse to knowingly be able to do that once a year type event. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how all that wraps up, if that makes all sense. So I then attended those 3 days. I do have a whole massive load, if you guys know me, of books that I was able to put together. But unfortunately, I was only given essentially 12 hours to be able to put together my game plan. Now, those that know me know also I usually like to pay a little attention to detail. And I'll get into some of my follies that I was going through over at San Diego Comic-Con due to the fact that I was severely ill prepared. But you'll also discover that I also had some problems even at the last event that I attended, which was a Jason, Aaron, and Mike Choi event at two of my local comic book shops. Again, I will get in all of that essentially now. Let's go ahead and jump into that one. So I will jump into San Diego Comic-Con and that experience, after which I first jump into my local Comic-Con experiences. What I mean by that is at two of the shops in which that I attend, or I should say patron, they had Jason, Aaron, and Mike Choice show up. There I was able to go ahead and put together a whole bunch of books because I knew 3 months in advance that this was going to happen. Now, I've not seen, I think I've seen Mike once. And Jason, he was at San Diego Comic-Con. I waved to him a couple times and made mention that I would see him at my LCS. And there we'd be able to have some vocal interaction. He was busy. So I was looking forward to some small, communication, some type of insights on certain books, and one of which was Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. I'm going to start off this whole thing by just saying I just shoved my foot right in my mouth when I asked him about this book and its origin, because I made mention that this to me was one of the most beautifully told love stories, post-apocalyptically speaking. And he asked then if I read beyond the first arc. And I said, yeah, I read the whole thing. He then queried in the sense of, did you not understand that these two were on, I said, yeah, I get it. But I still have the hope and belief that the idea of love went beyond them. The idea of love went to the understanding that love is greater than just the two beings, that they were saving a planet, they were saving future generations of the possibility of the ability to love and understand that, that's one of the greater things about life and its experiences. He then told me that, yeah, he wrote that during the pandemic time when he was breaking up with his wife, when he was getting a divorce. Yeah, that forced me to quickly change subjects and then just tell him that, hey, look, this is how I view the story and how I look at it. And I do believe that in its own way, due to the fact that, as he even made mention, the story was in the vagueness at the end, that yes, it could be told as they two could get back together. Ugh. El Foto and El Maltho. Moving out from that, I end up speaking to him about a couple other books and telling him how, as a person that enjoys his hobby with his son, I then asked, how was it when your son found out about you writing an Uncle Scrooge book, and due to the fact that your relationship with your son and with that book and title in particular? And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I highly recommend not only reading Uncle Scrooge, issue number 1, which was as a one-shot. I also recommend that you end up reading the first 2 pages on that book, because it does give a great detail of the personal history and background and personal reasonings behind one of the desires behind writing that book. And again, it was only due to the fact of my personal interaction, meaning going to the signing event, that I ended up finding about these things. So he ended up telling me, yeah, his son was not only very happy due to the fact that he able to, in some way, kind of create a full circle of what they shared as an experience growing up, but due to the fact that he got to make a contribution. My understanding is his son did get to read it, or at least was handed to, or something like that, and it just kind of felt a little more personal. So that was kind of cool, you know what I mean? Especially as he was signing my books, it just knowing that, how I share these type of similar experiences with my son, and know that there's an actual posterity aspect involved. I got it, and I appreciated it for that. So that was another thing that I got to, I guess, to say I experience, and for him to re-experience with someone, due to the fact that the question was made. So that was actually rather cool too. Then when it came to the turtle stuff, I told him I thought it was a rather interesting idea that he was going ahead and departmentalize all the signing, all the assignment to the artistry of individuals to individual turtles, meaning the first book is going to be done by one artist, the second book is going to be done by another artist, and we're going to get that in the first 4. Unfortunately, I didn't get to ask about if Splinter was going to be issue number 5 and if it was going to be a separate artist. But what I did get to manage and ask is, hey, how did you come up with the idea? And he said he just wanted to be able to emphasize each turtle in its own way and then be able to express them in detail and almost a standalone fashion due to the fact that we're getting such individual stories behind each individual turtle. I appreciated that. I was being, kind of ushered off, so I didn't want to hurt anybody behind me. I wanted to then ask what the follow-up is, are you going to make that an overall contribution into hopefully the first arc? Meaning when we actually get to see all these turtles together, do we still maintain each individual artist contributing to the book and still doing only the individual turtles? I'm hoping that is the case. And I'm looking forward to when we actually get to see all these turtles interact, if that's how it's drawn, at least for the first, few interactions before it might become a monetary issue. All right, all that being said, I know I've been freaking going off for over 12 minutes and yet to show a book. I have masses. So please, like I said, I'm going to start out small. I'm going to start out with the signing event first. So basically, it's all the stuff that I got done by Jason Aaron and the few books that I got signed by Mike Choi. Mike Choi, basically, of late, has been doing a lot of cover art, and he did just finish a Kickstarter. Ooh, I think I have it right here. Da-da-da-da. Scan that, check that out. I am looking forward to checking this out. This is some of his art. Wait. Some really cool stuff. And yeah, as a guy, I mean, really, what was really cool about this dude, and I remember this from the last time I met him, he is a personable guy. So before in which that he ended up doing a signing event, at the second place in which that I saw him, he personally walked out and shook everybody's hand. He wanted to greet and thank everybody that showed. And I thought that was rather cool. That's not normal. It's not usual. And it's so personable that he went out and actually, shook people's hand and interacted with them, took pictures with them, all that I was just, yeah, it was easy to get a high elation out of that, knowing that this was a person that you're going to hang out and talk to while you got your stuff signed. It was pretty freaking cool. All right, again, that's cool. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna yeah. Oh god. All right, so I really don't know where to start, and I'm sorry. So hey, so this is a cover by Mike Choi. This is the Ultimate X-Men issue number 2. This is a cover, if I recall, B, C. Sorry. This is really a cool cover. I got that one. And this is going to be, this is not going to work. I got to get through a few. So I got the 1 in 75. And again, everything's double signed here as well. As far as the you're going to see a store exclusive. Everything else is just singly signed by Jason Aaron. That's the signature you see there. So there's that. Yes. I did get 2. I got to figure out a better system here. This is getting not very good. Is this the one? This is the one. Interesting story. So this is the store exclusive. You'll see Choi and Jason Aaron on that. If you look really closely, you might see that it got dropped. See that? It got dropped. I was explaining how to try to protect your stuff, and the irony is I dropped it in the explanation, which allowed me to give another example of how a book like this, if it was slabbed, which was the question, would it be worth? I said, let's say it was roughly worth 100. I then dropped it, and I said, now it's worth 40. So, the cool thing is I'm going to give this away. So look forward to another show coming up really soon where I give this exclusive away. I got not only one, I think I got 3. Yeah. And I put one of those into a Comic Clear. I mean, it's a damn cool exclusive, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then I got the same cover, but a foily glossy. And I not only got one, but I got 2. Now, the cool thing about this cover is it's actually a painted piece. I did take pictures of the painted piece. And, I was really trying to put together thumbnails and figure out how to upload stuff. And all it did was frustrate me. So I wanted to go ahead and just give you a show that I normally give you, only due to the fact that I really don't know how to give another show. So this is also the first appearance. Oh, God, I just forgot. But it's a Strange Academy appearance. And I also made mention to Jason. I go, hey, in some regard, I also give you small contribution and some of the origin fact of what allowed then Scotty Young to stand on your shoulders and then just totally leap and make Strange Academy. He's like, well, no, I really didn't have any contribution. I go, no. Because of characters like this that you developed inside here, Emily, and because of how your ability to conceive certain characters, especially on a level of magic in which that was never implemented before until Scotty was able to put it together, I'm giving you small kudos. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take it. And I thought that was actually really cool. So this is a 1 in 150 ratio done by Joe Quesada. So I got that one done. Let's actually put these guys where they belong. Right here. And there we go. Now I am a huge fan of Runa. And he managed to go ahead and sign a few copies for me. And I really see this character just, I don't know, being a long-term character. And I dig the character. Well, I was at the event. My son went with me, and he and I both received free copies of the Mighty Thor issue 705, which was a variant. I want to say it might have been a custom variant to the shop. Anyways, Jason signed both of them, and it's a Stan Lee variant. I was like, oh, yeah. I remember seeing that way back in the day. So the fact that they gave me 2, I was like, I'll take them. And then I got this 1 in 25 signed of King Thor. And like I said, this to me is just it's just a beautiful story. I highly recommend it. It may rip your heart out. It may mend it. It may do different things. I personally just adored it. It was just, it frequently would make my blue light special. And it really, I don't know, when love is just for love's sake, and then it's just a beautifully told story. I'm a sucker. And I want more. All right, let me put this together if I could. And because that is about a quarter of all books and half of Jason's books. All right, moving on. I am like I said, a huge Scrooge McDuck. So I am signing that one. And that one. And that one. And that one. The 1 in 25. The other 3 you saw were 1 in 10s. And the cover A. All of those, again, they meant so much to me. I was hoping to actually get things slabbed, but after I ended up finding out that between the facilitator and what Jason wanted, that was going to cost me. I was looking to get as many as 16 slabs done. I had a totality of, my count is correct, 69 Raws signed between the local comic shop events and over at San Diego Comic-Con. And that is not including the 10 slabs I also have coming to me between the two events. Due to the fact that they, between the facilitator and and Jason themselves, that was going to cost me another $800 even before I got into the actual cost of the slabs themselves. I only ended up, I decided 16 was too many and I went with 3. So I ended up getting this sign, which I initially was going to get also slabbed. And I got this sign, which I was going to get slabbed. And this sign. Now you may be thinking, hey, why does he keep complaining about all this stuff? I really am not trying to, as much as what I'm trying to get to stress to those who may be watching this video and trying to, how should I say, pull out there's a word and I'm not getting it anyways, to extract little elements that be able to be promising to your signing events that you may go to, or how to personally interact with those that are around you, or have an understanding of what's going to financially cost you when you go to events like this. Is a matter of understanding that some of these things tend to be fluid. I had no idea what the facilitator was going to charge, if anything at all. I had no idea if Jason was going to charge anything at all, or to what he ended up charging. This was going to be announced, which in the case tends to be a good high percentage at the time of the event. It tends to be just so last minute. It's so difficult to plan in advance that what I try to do is in my portfolios and in my window boards, I put them in the order in which that I desire those in which that to get signed, and that in which it gets to possibly be slabbed first. That way I have an understanding of succession, really what I desire to be signed and possibly can afford to be slabbed, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was all the turtle stuff, all the screwed stuff, all the Aaron stuff. As you can tell, I didn't get everything I wanted to get slabbed. However, I did crack 3. And those of which that I did crack, I did get signed. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, due to the fact that the way the process works, and I kind of knew this in advance, they don't allow pressing. So I would have to resubmit to go back, get it pressed, have them reholster, regrade, and go through the whole process to come back to me. It's just the circumstance. So I have to start taking that a little bit more in consideration. I did have the opportunity to actually do some of this process at the San Diego Comic-Con. However, due to the fact that, again, it was last minute, and the fact that every time I went by Jason, he was just, he was being mauled by people seemingly, that I didn't want to add to that. I wanted to wait until the events that I already had a ticket to. So I didn't want to go ahead and just cause more of an issue, I guess. All right, so let me put that away. And let's really get into it, because this is freaking full. All right, yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with Tony Fleets. This is the first time at San Diego Comic-Con that Tony Fleets, Tris Forstner, and Ton Rodriguez had the opportunity to get together, all 3 at the same place at the same time. Truly, after all these years. What I thought it was interesting is how they interacted, because these, as I call them, the 3 T's, these individuals, they interact very well. It's almost like very family oriented. They really key off one another. They feed off one another. They're there for one another. You can tell, but beyond the actual creative group, in my opinion, seems like they truly love one another. And that's why seemingly these projects that they do go beyond just a creative piece. It seems like these are pieces of true love projects, and it comes across that way, and they really truly have an understanding of their works and the projects that they do and their responsibilities, and it just seems like everyone knows their cog and their aspect of their wheel, and it just works so well. So let's start off with Pharaoh, issue number 5, and let's work backwards. So that's Tone Rodriguez up there in the corner. That's the AMF is Tony. And Trish on this? Oh, no. All right. So what you're going to see is I end up picking up these for my LCS. Yeah, I belong to the signature series. So when I can't always attend certain things, they get them signed for me. So the two people that were there at the event, at another event, not at San Diego Comic-Con, that's where these come in for. I know I'm going quick. I have a lot of other shows. Plus, these were not actually done at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm getting to those really quick. Issue number 4. And here we go. These are the books that I got signed at the San Diego Comic-Con by Tone and Trish. So you'll see right there, there's Trish, there's Tone, and there's Tony. Now this is a 1 per store. I got 1, I got 2, and I got 3. And I just can't help it. I dig not only the story, I dig the art, I dig the crew. I'm a fan. And this, people are going to be, oh, actually, I got 4. And I know people are going to be looking for these down the road when they realize this is the 1 in 10. Yeah, I love the homages too. They're really, really cool. There's another 1 in 10 of issue 2. And again, these are all triple signed. You may not see it. I may be going through them. There's another movie homage. Where's Church? Church is there somewhere. There you go. Like I said, if I actually took the time and went through this, so this is a special. You'll notice that it's an homage to the Stray Dogs. All right, and I do have one of these being slabbed. So I'm crossing everything I got to try to get a 9.8. But I really love this cover. I really do. I know I love the story of Stray Dogs, but that's actually just one of my favorites. All right, there's a 1 in 75. I almost got this slab, and instead I got the ash can done. Here's the 1 in 10. I think I got another. Nope. The 1 in 10. Cover A. Look at all 3. Okay, and then this was from San Diego Comic-Con, and this is what I picked up from my LCS. Tony ended up doing a little sketch for me that I got to pick up at the last minute. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. I appreciate you, Tony. All right. So that was my 3 T's, meaning Tony Fleets, Tone Rodriguez, and Trish Forstner experience at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, I not only highly recommend you hanging out with those people just to go ahead and just say hi, but they always give you free sketches. Seriously. You just walk up, have a nice conversation, throw something at the works that they've done. They'll give you a sketch and a great conversation, and it's all win-win. Moving up, now we're going to talk about other books that I got, which are hopefully this is it right here. Okay. Now, another experience I had at San Diego Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, is that I got to finally meet and greet with Doug Wagner. He's an individual that I highly, highly recommend to those that love horror. This individual not only ties in elements of horror that will blow your brain out in the sense of just you're really trying to reel yourself in and of some type of semblance of what's going on, but I can truly assure you that the idea behind it is just to open up your mind because he's blowing it so much by able to expand the, I guess, the element of a passive mind. And what I mean by all this is usually the first few pages of any of his book gets you going, what's going on? Usually the next few pages, you're just like, whoa, what's this? And then usually the next few pages, you see some element of something that truly horrifies you. And it's not necessarily the visual, but what everything is hinting to. The mental aspect of what he gives you in his books is exhilarating as far as to the reader. And what it does really allow you is by the time you get through the experience of a book, it always comes back to some element of moral ethics that tend to be passed on in the book by the writer and hoping that the reader gets it. It's really, truly a fun journey on any one of the books. So, what I never got to read was the original Plastic. What I'm reading is the second version, Plastic. I think it's Guys and Dolls or something like that. So I did ask if I can get the trade. He signed it there for me. Look at how cool his signature is. And I told him I do not want to read the original until I completed the secondary. It seems like the second volume is a standalone book. He truly said that him and Hilliard was working desperately to try to figure out how to make it as a standalone book. And he truly believes that he did okay. And the fact that I gave him that kind of affirmation, he responded very well. So I don't want to read. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you listen to, let's say, a band and you listen to the first album and you listen to the second album and you're like, oh, it doesn't seem like it's as good as the first. But if you listen to that second album first, then you listen to that first album, your perspective of the band is completely different. Does that make sense? So I wanted to do the same thing with the book, is I wanted to get to the second volume first, then read the first volume second, so it doesn't influence the way I'm reading the second volume. I hope that came across correct. So I ended up getting Plastic signed, and I can't wait to get in this. But like I said, I'm going to go through the first one first. Second, you know what I mean. And then I had this signed by not only Tony Fleet, but I also got to have Doug Wagner sign it. I love this cover. Plush is a great story. And the other, this one's really kind of a story of courage and a person that really truly finds himself. So again, these stories are really awesome and really amazing. They just come across very horrific initially. Look at that. Toodaloo. This actually is probably my favorite cover. I mean, nothing against Tony, but I really love the pastels in that cover. Now, this is the second volume of Plastic, Death and Dolls. And then this is Click, Click, Boom. This is a cool story about a little girl that was trained by an assassin, and she's mute. And then someone basically takes him out. And yeah, she gets revenge. It's so freaking awesome. And finally, vinyl. Now I'm going to give you my vinyl moment. Vinyl's a story of basically a psychopath. And he likes to take out people in a horrific way. Well, his best friend is an FBI agent to bust him, Walter. And Walter knows it, but he's playing him. So the FBI agent gets kidnapped right in front of Walter as they're playing a game of chess in the park. And now what Walter does is gets all his friends, hires all his friends to then retrieve his FBI friend. And all Walter's friends are all nutcases too. And it is just an awesome journey. You're the whole time you're just like, no way, no way. Now my personal Walter moment. I was getting all my stuff signed. I was telling Doug how much I appreciate his work and how much I was just blowing smoke, meaning I truly believe all this stuff, but I don't know how much he was believing me. I was inflating them, and as you see, I read it all and I love it all, and I truly enjoy his works. I left there on such a high after finally having a conversation with this guy and telling him how much I appreciate his work that I had forgotten a bag from CGC Witness. One of my I had forgotten this. And I had left this at his counter. And it was just below all his books that he couldn't see. Anybody could have walked up and just took it. I walked away 3, maybe 4 minutes later, navigating people. I went, oh my God, and ran back. Luckily, it was still there. Crazy. So I walked away. Inside the store folio that I had his books, I had 2 Usagi Yojimbo books that I just cracked out of slabs. And these books were going to be signed by none other than Stan Sakai, which I had done, and I pulled them out of that store folio. I left that store folio at Stan Sakai's booth. Now, I developed a personal relationship so well with the witnesses that I ended up calling one up because he gave me his phone number. And I said, hey, dude, I left my store folio. Remember when I pulled out my books? Like, oh, yeah. Well, could you go back to the booth and, possibly ask if they had my books? Almost that I just showed you. I said, yeah, I'll try to give you a text in a couple of minutes. 2 minutes go by. He calls me up. Dude, I got your stuff. I go back. I end up getting my stuff from that witness the next day after I ended getting facilitated by the company and end up, going through the process and submitting my books. I then got my store folio full of all my Wagner books, which I then proceeded to go over to Wagner and tell him everything that transpired. So he saw this space case, go up to him, tell him how much he loves his books, forgets the CGC bag, comes back running, panting, grabs it, walks away, and then forgets all the books that he got signed by the guy. I'm telling you, I was a mess. Yes, very lucky, very grateful. Man. Moving on. This is the last lot. Now, my son and I started 1-2 Comic Talk way back in 2019. And the first person that we interviewed was actually 2 people, Drew Zucker and David Boer. The team that do Kanto. Well, some of the main creators and artwork. And to my knowledge, it was like one of the first interviews they ever did. We also had it with John Comics with kids and Christy Shin, and Kanto was always a huge influence, and we're coming up on the end of this. There was a few books in which that I did not have signed, and I never met Drew Zucker personally. So after these 5 years, I finally got to meet Drew and have him sign a whole lot of my books, and I did get one slab done. And due to the fact, I guess, because of our relationship, they refused to take any money for anything, and I was just so grateful. So, yeah, let's get to it. Issue number 2, first signed by David Boer in 2019, then later by Drew Zucker in 2024. So we got issue number 2. Well, let's see what we can do here. I know I got All right, we'll do it this way. Issue number 2. Issue number 2. This is my favorite because look, it was signed in 2019, then both signed again in 2024. This is my double signed David Bohr book. Yeah, he accidentally did it, and I'm not. Nope, do not care. Signed by Drew Zucker, and in 2019, where's David? David's in there somewhere. Where did he go? Holy Mecatoonie, is he even not on this one? I don't think he's on this one. That's awesome. He double signed one book and forgot to sign another. Oh, I can't wait to see Dave. But he got that one. And he did that one in 21. And then in 24 by Drew Zucker. And then issue number 3. And then I think I got another issue number 3. And then I got an issue number 4. Which is 219 for David and 2024 for Drew. And then I want to do this right because I didn't want to drop this book. Issue number 4, RI. I almost got this slabbed. I love this. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And then issue number 5. Issue number 5. We're getting close to some of the biggies. And you're like, what do you mean? Well, okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, now I had 3 of these, and one of which was never signed. So this one was signed by David Bohr in 2021, and then Drew Zucker in 2024. This is the issue number 6, 1:10 ratio. So I got 3 of these. This was signed in 2019, and then in 2024. The other one was never signed, so I got that slabbed. That was the only book I got slabbed by them. And then I end up, after that, going to see Mirka. Mirka Andolfo is someone that Kai and I have been enduring her write for a while. She writes some interesting horror, but it's always tied into a little bit of mystery. She has a really interesting style, and I just attribute it to the fact that it's European. And she also has, in the case especially like Mercy, a almost vintage feel about her, not only her art and color palette, but just the delivery and what she does. And I truly, really enjoy it. So Mercy is a 12-issue maxi series. It's kind of a supernatural story. And here's a book that was signed, double signed by one, Mirka Andolfo on top, and 2, Art Germ, but I'm trying to remember. I know his last name is Lau, so his first name is Stanley. Yeah. And yeah, I had that done. So I really like Sweet Paprika because of the whole ends unsacred. So Kai and I both really love both series. So she signed that. And then here we are with Unsacred issue number 1. Those of us that see my shorts, you may have seen that as a short. Here's a little tip to the hat to Harley. Really like that cover. This is another one I put on one of my shorts. Really like that cover. And then you can tell I really picked out. I almost got this one slabbed. I mean, it's foily and pretty, and like I said, the Cantos. So that, believe it or not, is every single book that I got signed in the past 10 days. Now, there were a few other things that ended up transpiring that were just, I mean, I was in awe. Every time around 3 o'clock in the afternoon at San Diego Comic-Con, the streets open up in the sense of they're now open to free walking. They shut them down. No longer are motor vehicles allowed there. And it's amazing party that just transpires after. It's 24/7. There's schedules all over. And unless you have a particular pass, are you then allowed or not allowed to go at certain areas? I highly recommend it for those in which that have never had the experience and those in which that, well, get a whole lot of information overload, or in the case of like me and some anxieties due to the fact that you got high concentrates of people, it might be something that you might want to consider to avoid. At the same point, you're not going to have an experience much like that anywhere else in this type of realm in which that we participate in. All of Hollywood is there when it comes to the upper level and them showing everything. All of the Eisner aspects were there when it comes to the recognition of the writers, the teams in which that put together all the things in which that we enjoy. It's all there, and it's a hub into which that it usually transpires throughout the world and throughout the rest of the year and into the following. It's something that I do recommend for those that are even slightly considering it. And I highly recommend not for those that even remotely have issues with places like this, because it is extreme on many levels. And in that the extremisms fall favorably into the fun. It's all in the fun zones, and it's just amazing for those that really want to just have a good, I guess, con experience. It's probably the ultimate. I can't stress that enough. And as far as for me, for an individual that is a hardcore, self-proclaimed signature slut, I have to admit it definitely is a kid in a candy store. I did meet considerably many others in which that all I wanted to do is just hang out with. I found myself at one point having anxiety myself, and one of the first people that I ended up seeing was Don Nguyen. I spent about, I don't know, maybe almost 5 minutes with him. And then after I saw him, I walked over and saw Tim Sheridan. There I spent the next almost 20 minutes, he and I just talking and have a good time. I almost felt a little awkward leaving just because of how comfortable I felt just hanging out with them. And yeah, it's that kind of an experience where there's a lot of open arms, a lot of welcoming people. The love, the consideration, the joy is all there. So that's what I think I really got out of it, and that's where all my gratitude is towards, is the individuals that allowed this to be possible for me. I thank you. The people that signed all my books, I thank you. To the people that make and organize these type of events, I thank you, and I know what it takes to put these things together, and it takes considerably a lot. And to those who saw this video, to those in which that I appreciate seeing all my signed books, me babble on forever, I thank you. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, and that is it from me. That's your Pete. Everyone, you stay well. See you soon.